The glory of God, this glory that was revealed at the Transfiguration, this glory that he calls us all to share in, is clearly at the forefront of the readings on this feast day. You know, this is such an important reality for us to not lose sight of, that we are given this event twice a year. The Transfiguration is always, or one of the gospel accounts of it is always the reading, the Sunday reading on the second Sunday of Lent. And then about, on August 6th every year, right? It's roughly some 5-6 months later, there is a method to the church's madness. We are given this account again so that we don't forget, that the goal of our lives is to attain, to have a share in this glory that God possesses. Quite often when we think of God's glory, we think of something that is very remote, is very distant, is very unattainable. But that's not necessarily the case. The glory of God, this glory of God that every human being is yearning for, whether they realize it or not, trust me, every human heart, doesn't matter where people come from, doesn't even matter what their faith or lack thereof is, every human heart is yearning for that glory. Sometimes we look for it in the right place. Sometimes we look for it in the wrong place. So it's very hard to attain. But it's right there in our midst. What does God's glory look like? Well, the reading gives us a little bit of a hint, right? At the Transfiguration, Jesus is beaming, right? He's fully alive, full of light, right? St. Irenaeus, who's one of the great scholars in the early church, he had a great description of God's glory. And this is what he said. He said, "The glory of God is the human being fully alive." The human being fully alive. When we have those moments or those stages in our lives, when we feel most fully alive, what does that mean? When we're full of light and when we feel a lot lighter, right? When we're full of joy, when we're full of peace, when, like Jesus, on Mount Tabor is in that transfigured state, in harmony with the past, Moses, Elijah, with the disciples, with the future. When we are in harmony with everything that is a part of our existence, the glory of God is shining through. The glory of God is manifesting itself to us and to others, whether we realize that or not. Now, we know that those moments, like the moment of that Transfiguration, are not very long-lived, because we, like the apostles, right? They were enjoying it, right? Like Peter, oh man, let's make this thing last. Let's set up shop here. But of course, a cloud, right, comes and takes it away. We've got moments like that in our lives where, man, everything is, we're in sync. We're good. We're good with life. We're good with everything, right? And some cloud or some bulldozer or somebody, right, comes and seems to take that away from us. But this is what the Lord wants us to work towards. So how do we achieve that glory? What is the recipe for being able to attain that glory more and more? Well, we know, if you look at that account, we know it requires work. It requires an uphill climb, right? They experienced the Transfiguration at the top of Mount Tabor. Have you ever been to the Holy Land, right, and you've been up to Mount Tabor? It's an experience, You get driven up there by these crazy maniacs in these taxis that you feel like you're going to die before you get to the top. You're going to see the glory of God before you get to the glory of God, right? Not easy. Wasn't easy back then. It's not easy even now with wheels, okay? But such it is in life. You know who understands this very well? Teams that win championships. Teams that win championships. Watch the interviews with the members of any Super Bowl winning team, or anybody that wins an NBA championship or a Stanley Cup or the World Series or whatnot. Hey, when they're hoisting that trophy, listen, this is the glory that they had been looking for. This is the glory that they had been working for. And they will all tell you hear it repeatedly, and all those, it doesn't matter who they are, they'll tell you the same thing. It requires enormous work, enormous perseverance. It requires, by the way, the ability to recover, to heal, to overcome injuries. If you're a Dolphin fan, that's very much on your mind with Tua and all that stuff, of course, But so it is in life. In other words, you don't attain the glory by merely desiring it. You got to put in the work. It requires blood, sweat, and tears, enormous perseverance. Of course, listen, we can't attain that on our own. like the apostles, they had to make that climb with Jesus leading them and guiding them. We can't attain that glory simply with our own abilities. We're only going to attain it, or attain it all the more as we're in this life, to the degree that we allow ourselves to listen to what the Lord is telling us, and to the degree that we persevere through the challenges, through the difficulty, through the blood, sweat, and tears and injuries that are part of our life. You've heard the saying, right? No guts, no glory. One of the biggest hindrances that we have, and we have to be on the lookout for this, because naturally we all love it, is one of the biggest hindrances to attaining that glory that we're looking for is to become addicted to comfort. Be careful with comfort. I love it as much as you do. And if we didn't like comfort, we'd be nuts. We need to go to a psychiatric ward somewhere. But if we are dodging the difficulties that we need to embrace, that are right there in front of us, guess what? We're going to suffer more than we're bargaining for. The glory we're looking for, we're just not going to attain. And parents, teach your kids to persevere. Don't make it so easy for them. I've been saying this for 40 years since I've been involved in education. Okay? Let them learn to embrace difficulties, the difficulties that confront them. Otherwise, they're not going to develop a capacity for life or for glory. Don't handicap them. Life handicaps them enough. Teach them to learn to persevere. Teach them what that recipe is all about. So let us pray as we continue our climb through life. Let us ask the Lord to continue to grant us the desire, right? The dedication to that glory that we're so deeply looking for. Let us ask Him to help us put in the work that is necessary to attain it Because it's worth it. It's worth it. There's nothing like feeling fully alive. Dear friends, let us stand and profess the faith that sheds